My speech today will be bilingual, but Dr. Guy Charles Moore told me to compact it into 5 minutes, but I told him it's almost impossible to compact 5 decades plus into 5 minutes. So I know the weather is very hot. We both the shishana de ne de zi ge ne ho de tie e be nu na ya be mong nu de be she de shi lu jia lu yong nam long be mong ra da neng ne ge rong xie chi ju xiong de be mong tua za lu de che mi ka na. วันได้ชับเรากูยังให้รู้ส่วนตัวแต่กูถูกเข่งกูว่าเจ้าเรากูจีทันในพลรักปอเนี่ยแต่ชีแต่ชีนอกูทอไปจีหนึ่งมองต้านพอเสือเอเป้เหอจะเป้จีทันในพลรักปอเอเป้เสือกงเชียเป้เสือเป้จีอันยอดจอหรือว่าจีซื้อเป้ยอดจอต้านพอเตปอเตเยอะนั่นจือหนึ่งเราเตคือเตตีจีเจเนี่ยเจต้นไผ่เราดูต่อตาเมื่อตอนชาวปอนรู้เตรู้เชอเอเป้ตัวมวนหุ่นเนาะเอเป้เหอจะเลยดีชีสตัวก่อสักกันว่าจะใช้手เชอ Mr. Mayor, County Supervisor, State Assembly women, Congressmen, the representatives of the Congressman's office. Welcome to Hmong 50 years here in the County of Merced. It is an honor for me to stand on this stage today before all of you to join in the festivities and the celebration of 50 years of freedom, as I stated at the ribbon cutting ceremony for the Hmong Americans all across our great nation. And to our elected officials who may not know the history of our people all too well, and terms that are repetitive today, you'll hear of SGU and General Vang and Hmong itself. But it's really fitting today as I stand up on this stage in the venue that we are at Castle Air Force Base. It used to be Air Force Base, now it's just Castle Airport, I believe. But General Frederick Castle, during World War II, led a squadron of B-17s against the forces of evil in Europe as tyranny raged across Europe. And that fight was for one main reason: freedom itself. And so it's very fitting and suiting for us to hold the Hmong 50 years here at Castle Airport today, as the Hmong also fought for the same exact principle and value 50 years ago. And just 2 days ago, as Brigadier General Castle led his squadron across Europe, and he died with honor in the name of freedom, we marked victory in Europe over fascism and Nazism and extremism, what I like to dub the forces of evil. Not knowing 30 years later down the road, an Iron Curtain rose in the east, and our great United States of America would call upon one gentleman in a Southeast Asian nation of Laos called Vang Pao. And in 1961, that's 65 years ago, through the Kennedy administration and the prior administration before that was the President Dwight D. Eisenhower administration, authorized the CIA to come and look for Vang Pao, my father. Yep, we should applaud. That is our very beginning of why we have today. And so thus, an agreement was shook through a handshake between a Hmong gentleman by the name of Vang Pao and a gentleman by the name of Belair, who happened to be from Texas with a slow Texan drawl accent. Really slow talker, but he was a bright man. And the moment he met my father, and these are accounts of my father personally telling me, Belair knew he had the right man to carry on the mission that the United States wanted the Hmong, through my father, General Vang Pao, to do, and they did so with valor, with honor, with dignity for 15 years, from 61 to 75. And that is where we come today, to celebrate 50 years of freedom. We fought as we pledged allegiance earlier to the United States flag, our flag, Old Glory, the Star-Spangled Banner, Stars and Stripes, name it what you may, but it is the very flag, banner, and symbol of freedom that we all cherish that intertwines us today and will so into the future. As we pledge allegiance today, the Hmong Lao veterans of General Vang Pao back in 1961 pledged their loyalty and allegiance to the United States of America then. And our journey here was not easy. As policies shifted, the global dynamics kicked in, the US and our allies withdrew from Southeast Asia, the Hmong were left behind, but our friends, our American friends, did not abandon us. Today, I want to acknowledge and pay tribute to a very important man. Actually, there's two gentlemen. I know there's a whole team of them. These were CIA case officers that worked very closely with my father throughout those 15 years. Their eyewitness accounts were vital in terms of information coming back to Washington, D.C. of the successes of General Vang Pao's leadership and the Hmong soldiers in this conflict during the Vietnam War. The two gentlemen that I want to acknowledge as we celebrate 50 years here today. The very first, Mr. Jerry Daniels, who tragically passed away in Thailand back in 1982. The second, Mr. Lionel Rosenblatt. These two persons were key instruments in lobbying and advocating and educating the Hmong story to our elected U.S. lawmakers back then about who the Hmong were. Because many in the American public in 75 didn't know who the Hmong were. Many still don't today. But that's okay, because our story is now being told. And as I stated in our past event last weekend, let's not make the U.S. Secret Army, which they're sitting right there, any longer secretive. Let's tell it as it is. So it is to our SGU veterans. SGU stands for Special Guerrilla Units. That was the name designated by the Central Intelligence Agency. And that classified the Hmong soldiers that fought on behalf of our great nation during the Vietnam conflict. And the CIA would dub my father a code name too by the name of White Star. Vậy thủ từ này cho CBU này cho sẽ tông toán được tê hay tê dân nó hô đau hú tua rồi sang cái này tua bỏ lo sang nhá hồng đá lo tê là người gì bỏ không bỏ lo nó hô đau thì là bị chỉ thằng này phân thì xin hông nó cũng có tí hay ít khó đan hình. To the youth, as we celebrate 50 years, I'm talking past, present, and future now, and I reach out to the youth with my historical story, but let this be words of inspiration and motivation for us to continue where our ancestors, where our forebears, where our elders left off. And to be honest, they did the hard part. This is the easy part now. They went through thick and thin, through strife and suffering and pain to get us to this great land, which I dubbed the Promised Land. And they went through their sacrifice, their courage, energy, and strength to get us here today in unlocking the new life that we have in this country. So to the Hmong youth, to the young Americans, the code name White Star, as the seafarers back then, when there was no navigational systems, no satellites in orbit, no GPS, would use a star, the Polaris Star, the North Star, for navigational resources so that they wouldn't get lost. Let the story of our elders, of our parents, of our grandparents, of General Vang Pao, from a small, remote, mountainous nation, leading our people to advance, to progress, the trailblazers that they were, the pioneers that they were, the journeys that they took, the sacrifices that they made, the risks that they take to make our lives better here today in our country. So whenever we may feel down, whenever we may lose hope, whenever we feel lost, like the seafarers and the trailblazers and the pioneers of the past, they didn't look down, they looked up into the heavens. They looked up to the Polaris Star, the North Star, to get a bearing, to get a heading. And let our youth and generation of many more to come take these words today that I speak on the stage to find inspiration and motivation to flip into the next chapter of Hmong Americans in the next 50 years. Like I said, they did the hard part, now it's the easy part for us to continue to advance our cause. And what is our cause? The freedom of our nation, the freedom of our American family and ourselves. Preserve and defend and protect that banner that waves above my head, the symbol of freedom that we cherish and value. To the youth today that our ancestors built for us, that took us to this great nation, that we are educators, we are medical doctors, we are nurses, we're law enforcement, we served in the armed forces, to many other trades that I cannot name because 5 minutes is not enough. But today, this is the Hmong story, it is our American story, and it will continue to be our story onwards into the future. Tên là tên gì, lúc chạy nhung lấy chúng mong đào đọc cú hài thì cú tiền nó sẽ hợp đào cần gầu lên, thì sẽ hỏi ra lúc sinh cú đào cú, nó vậy nó rong xe rồi bây giờ nương Hmong, chỉ là bây Hmong mi cả sư, bây hai nương Hmong thông can đâu khứ, khu Hmong để bây giờ Hmong tiếp tục. Giờ đây hai tiề bây giờ để chồng Hmong gặp bỏ tua, để bây tàu rong một chân cơ, thì sự cố yên họ ít sẽ cứ đi tất cả. Bây giờ tôi khẩn rong rong hay để lấy giờ bây Hmong bây cứ bây đi thế, lấy yên thử hay để lấy giờ Hmong gặp bỏ thế, giờ lấy chỉ từ tôi cho bây lại lại để lấy giờ Hmong gặp bỏ cái bây sao, để cho cả cho lấy bây có bây rong hay để lấy giờ Hmong thế, em nó giờ bây đi mua luôn nên vào mình. Mua nào mua họ mua nhiều mua chơi mua nào mua chữ mua cái cần chơi tới ba chỉ là bây giờ lúc bây chuyện là Hmong thông can đủ khứ nữa, hôm nay ít lo lu, cú giờ bây chỉ thằng này còn tụt tôn giờ, cú pha đồ bây, nô nó mua tên này bây chỉ bây giờ tụt trò, bây thằng này tụt trò thì sẽ tụt trò, họ cả bây chỉ thằng này cònตัวมีการเจ้าโลหรือbâyติดเตาตัวช่อลาตัวเตยมีการเนาะแต่สิbây chỉลาช่อตัวนึงbâyเนี่ยbây chỉ bao giờ là trong là hạ yên yo công xã cho cái cho nhẹ bây Hmong cầu chỉ tàn thọ cho mua Hmong thìตัวจอตัวชาติเขียวไทยตัวโจทย์สิท่านในพลน้องรู้Hmongให้แต่สิท่านในพลหมดตัวชาติเขียวไทยหรือซื้อแต่สิตัวจอรู้เตยเขียวไทยน้องแต่สิท่านในพลหาดัวหมู่ตัวเจอเตยเขียวเดี๋ยวเป็นน้องใจรู้เตยเขียวมีกาเดี๋ยวทนเตยน้องเตยจื้อมีกาลูกปักขี้ขาตรงตัวเปเต้เนี่ยเต้จีพอเยอะตัวเดี๋ยวไปเฉลยตัวเจ้าลูกเต้เขียวแบบแม่งน้อยเนี่ยเดี๋ยวชีลุงมีกายแต่ guarantee ลุงลอยแต่แน่นอนอยากชิมว่าไปจีเท่าไหร่พ้นเพื่อไปเจอน้าเราก็ไปเจอทุกตัวเวรเนาะลูกเต้เขียวมีการเนี่ยยิ่งชิลาพอเป็นห้องเธอจ่ายเป็นห้องเราไปตลอดจวเลยนะไปตอนยอจอเต้เนี่ยเต้จี hot sacrifice ลูกตัวจินจีเราว่าพูดโอไปนู่นน่ะไปต่อโรงเรียนเอาตัว MC ให้bây họ tao cái lúc ở cha nó sẽ bây từ xa更高的是只若印地里边的对自做其啥若到几多年呢？可能bây到用不哩啦，弄那可能这一条路还点，还是要用些还点，弄那bây多年难路了。bây giờ là một day cho bây chỉ能红，弄那bây只他那关只伢了咯，你路烟空烟火，你路明嘛伢到bây，我都有些个地不到bây呢。我哋拿古多早啲拿啲最初嘅古嘢諗到，古邊門住數，我拿落地嚟晒古呢度落，落落差嚟咗拿咗住米價，我拿古之前喺度 elected official 呢嚟呢，就是嚟叫你照顧到路上生事，英語也係英語也啲嘢啲字，都知道住。嘅古邊拿大古長我佢 complete 到嚟嘅，個嚟就俾蒙ra經據攞滿型，個嚟係又幫俾蒙用差咯，俾到เจ้าข้าเราตัว host นู่น doctor ใจ đại Charles mua cho nó sẽ được tua thì sự nói giờ bây giờ cái sự cho phong gì có chỗ khó rồi tên nào tên chữ có lúa hay à lúa bê hay nương mông lọp được thôi là chúa họ lúa rò Atwater họ lúa rò Merced cái tan thôi Merced County nó ấy có lỡ mua chi là họ để hải ba cùng tiền rồi cái chuyện nương mông thế nào ấy cho lúa thì cũng trong tuổi trẻ là hay lúa là cái thì cũng chỉ hay non đâu lúc nào giờ cái rong xe thầu cơ nó có bé chỉ thằng này phun tên nhỉ tên gì đây trong thời cho giá thầu chỉ nhận được bên hông nó bên chụp tút cho chỉ nhận được bên hông nó đây là đây chỉ đây cứ đây tuân sai chỉ nhận được bên hông nó do sống tu cho cứ bên hông nó có bên sở đời chuẩn chỉ cho kiến là cái nhà rong có bên xí sâu à mong cứ mong tim mong nông mong trả chỉ ta chỉ cơ có bên mong luôn ninh hay bên mong luôn bên chống muôn đó theo hòa và tuổi chỉ ta chỉ cơ nữa ấy nhà rong có bên trên đường mong rong xe rồi chỉ chơi xong cú giờ ít tụt loạn cú chỉ có chỉ chơi xong theo thì sự cú rong xe nó cú giờ mong nè cú rong xe cú giờ bỏ chỉ chơi xong toàn để bên mong luôn nâng chỉ hai à một đây cha của nó lỡ nu là một giờ nu lì là bên mong những một tuôn chảy mong những một giờ nu lì nó lỡ lại một giờ họ để các thủ đó một lì giờ là bên mong những một giờ đó lỡ nu là bên chỉ hay cho được họ mà chữ bên hay cho lúc lại lỡ chữ gì bên hay cho cái chất cái gì lúc mà chữ là what tu sầu tu sầu chỉ một computer technology bên đầu chùa cái bên mong là mình cha của nó thế họ nói cho cái bên đâu tại sao nó muốn讲的要走的只看来看到跑现在呢被只老被可容些可能呢呀因为容因为正正因为那么给到被lúc đi nó là lúc xong nó被只是弄到到lúc rõ估chỉ cho cho một走lá thế thì lại hết cái xe cái này cái làm lông被cứ cái năng trạm phong do走lá sao lồng chỉ cho xong thế nào là hay có trong đó cho bây giờ host là bây giờ organizer just sponsor đó là bây giờ elected official bây giờ không có tiền nó đó đâu lớn